Hey everybody, welcome to Thursday night. John Skiba here from the Consumer Warrior YouTube channel. Starting a little bit late tonight. Sorry about that. I'm here at my office in Arizona and time got away from me. All right, so like we do each and every Thursday night, we go over all things debt related. I am a bankruptcy attorney and I do consumer defense in the state of Arizona. And, what I put the YouTube channel for is to go over and discuss these types of things. I found the best thing to alleviate a lot of the stress is to, one, get some good information, put a plan together, and be able to move forward from it. So what I'd like to do is if you have questions, things that you want to talk about in the you put those questions in the chat. I'm happy to put them up on the screen and we can go over it in more detail. If you're in the state of Arizona, you need legal help, I do free consultations. My number's below. My contact information is below as well, and you can set up a consultation and talk with me directly about it. I've also put in the chat links to some of the great sponsors of our weekly live stream, SoloSuit, which we've been partnering with them for quite a while. You may have cited a live stream with them last night talking about debt settlement in particular. SoloSuit uses different tools to help people respond to debt collection lawsuits, compel arbitration. They even have a cool debt settlement technology thing that allows you to try to settle the debts. And then I've also put my own Consumer Warrior University where I have templates, tutorials on every stage of the debt collection lawsuit to be able to walk you through that. So today what I wanted to start out talking about, last night, like I said, I was doing this debt settlement Q&A, and there's a lot of questions about the debt settlement process and about different strategies in trying to get the best settlement possible. And so I wanted to touch on that because I think it's a good topic. I get those questions a lot as far as how do you approach getting the best settlement possible, assuming that there's no lawsuit involved. You're just trying to figure out exactly what to offer and what to expect from that process. I can tell you this: the first thing I start with is you need to know who you're dealing with, because that makes a big difference as far as whether you're dealing with an original creditor or whether you're dealing with a junk debt buyer. Now, junk debt buyers, if you're new to this area, junk debt buyers are these companies that go out and they buy old charged off debts for pennies on the dollar, and then they bring lawsuits and sue people and try to collect on it. If you're dealing with a junk debt buyer as opposed to like an original creditor, original creditors are the company you entered into the agreement with, Citibank, Synchrony, American Express, Discover Card, whoever it is. If you're dealing with a debt that was purchased by a junk debt buyer, you're going to get a much better deal, and you can offer something considerably less than you would compared to like an American Express. Not only that, because like the original creditor, they kind of have all their cards in place. If they're going to sue you, they're going to have the witnesses, they're going to have the documents, and so you're going to end up paying a much higher settlement in that. So I think just having that understanding of who exactly you're dealing with, whether it's a junk debt buyer, whether it's a creditor that, the original creditor, that's going to tell you what type of settlement to propose. Now, when you're dealing with original creditors, in most situations, a decent settlement is anywhere from 50 to 70, 75%. And I know that doesn't sound like a huge discount that you're getting with those creditors, but it can't, depending on the amount owed, it can be a significant amount. But regardless, that's roughly what you're looking at. If you're dealing with a junk debt buyer, though, there was an FTC study years ago that showed that junk debt buyers pay on average 4 cents on the dollar for their accounts. So, I mean, if you had $1,000 credit card, I mean, they bought it for $40. So you can see they're not as invested into the overall situation financially. And so they're likely going to be willing to accept, quite a bit more. Now, they often will press back and, they're going to try and be tough negotiators on this, but that's something that you can continually press back against them at and kind of keep that going. Even under the threat of litigation, you're going to get something better. With most junk debt buyers, in my office here in Arizona, we see settlements as low as 10% up to about 50%. And particularly if you're able to do some type of lump sum, you're going to be in a much better situation. Now, the question is, though, what happens if you have a lawsuit pending and you're trying to get some type of settlement in place? And particularly with original creditors, if they've already filed the lawsuit against you, maybe you filed the answer. I just put out a new video, by the way, about filing the answer and compelling arbitration. I might be able to get a link to that, put that in the notes for you here. But if they filed a lawsuit, one of the most powerful tools that you can use is something called the stipulated judgment. What a stipulated judgment is, this is where you agree. So let's use, say, American Express, for example. American Express has sued you. You filed the answer. They have the witnesses, they have the documents. You don't want to push that to trial because then you're going to end up owing a bunch of things on top of it. So what you can do, though, is you can negotiate something where you say, look, American Express, I'll pay you 80% of what you're asking for, but I need a monthly payment plan. I need this spread out over 24 months, no interest, and I'll make this payment, and you choose an amount that works for you. But if I default on that, then you have your judgment in full. So you're allowing judgment to be entered against you, but on your own terms. And there's always in there something what's called a covenant not to execute, meaning they can't collect on it while the judgment's pending. And it allows you the freedom to be able to make those payments, but also keep them at bay so they're not trying to garnish your wages or anything like that. All right, let's see right here. Al, member for 19 months. Man, you're like one of the OGs. You're right there from the beginning with me. Hello from Tucson. I have a friend in Atlanta who wants to file for bankruptcy. Do I have a bankruptcy attorney there that I can suggest, or a link to a list of lawyers that you can recommend? I will put, if you look in the notes below this, there's a 1-800 number. It's an 866 number. Ascend Finance is one of the companies we work with. They have, if you call that number, they will connect you with an attorney. That's what I would recommend as far as being able to get someone. I'm in the process of doing that. I know I've been saying that forever, but it's a kind of a complex thing of having essentially preferred providers. But Al, if you want to check in the notes below this video, it's there right now. You'll see that number and you can provide that, and they'll hook them up with someone that can help out. So, all right, let's see here. Shar had a question. Hi, I live in Toronto. Your channel's been helpful to date. Thank you for supporting it. What if I was taken to small claims court by the original creditor? Collector wants to settle out of court. They're requesting a financial disclosure, bank statement, last 2 years of tax returns, copy of pay stubs. Do I have to submit, or can I negotiate without submitting a financial disclosure? I don't feel comfortable submitting my bank statements. Those are your spidey senses tingling, and you're exactly right. You need to be nervous about providing them with a lot of information. The question is, and this is what you have to weigh, because this is a common tactic by debt collectors where they're saying, look, we're not going to settle unless we know exactly what your financial position is, because if you're sitting on a ton of money, then we need all this information. We're not going to settle with you. So the issue is it's kind of a catch-22, because if you provide them all that information, essentially what you've done, you've just given them a roadmap to all of your assets. You've given them information on employment, bank accounts. They could then sue you, get a judgment. They know exactly where to go to take all your money. So what I usually do is, usually there's a form they want you to fill out. I think you can fill out general financial information. I would not give them bank statements. I would not give them pay stubs. You could do something maybe like a redacted tax return that shows what your income is. Other than that, at this stage, I wouldn't provide them all that financial information, partly because they already have most of it. We talked about this before on the channel, where it's something where they get a lot of this information. They get these skip traces. They get a lot of background information on you before they even contact you. So they likely have a lot of that information already, and it's a tactic just to get financial information. So I would provide them with as limited amount of information as you can to get the deal in place, and essentially just push back and say, we're not going to get a deal. I always say at the end of the day, they want money. If you're offering money, there's got to be some kind of deal that can be reached. If not, tell them to pound sand and move on. All right. This one here says, I have a court date on May 1st and arbitrator appointment on May 30th. I personally called and contacted the lawyer and tried to negotiate 50%. He submitted, but told me not to keep my hopes up. So you have a May 1st court date on May 1st and an arbitrator appointment on May 30th. Part of it is if the matter has been submitted to arbitration, and your trial date's coming up on May 1st, but I would ask the court to vacate the trial, vacate the court date, get rid of that. and let them know that you're going through the private arbitration process. If you haven't filed a motion to compel arbitration, you ought to file that and actually say, hey, I've already initiated this. You may have to provide them copies of the terms and conditions to be able to, from the credit card, showing that the matter is subject to private arbitration. But I would try to get that May 1st date thrown out. If you do that, if you can get that May 1st court date thrown out, they're going to be much more likely to agree to the settlement. I'm going to put a thing in the notes. This is a good little, so the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they have copies of most credit card agreements. When we talk about compelling private arbitration, you can go there, the link I just put in the chat section, and you can actually search by your credit card to be able to find that. Because often the lenders, they either don't have it, or the junk debt buyer, they're not providing that. And so that's something where you can go there and search for it, download it, take it to the court and say, hey, look, this is subject to the private arbitration clause. So, okay, that may be it for questions today. Today might be a short one, and that's okay. I'm here for as long as we're needed. So, but again, if there are any other questions, you can always put them in the comments. I do look at them. I try to get to them. There's a lot of comments on the channel, so I have my day job to get to as well. But yeah, if you could take a look at that, that would be great. We'll follow up with short one time. Thanks so much. It's a small amount, only $4,700. I'm so surprised they even took this amount to court. I tried to get a lawyer, but they said the retaining fee starts at $5,000. Part of it is you need to find consumer attorneys who will work for much less than that, and that's hard because a $5,000 retainer makes sense in a big litigation matter. But I can tell you this, that it is surprising. Like sometimes people are surprised to see that, if someone comes in with the $50,000 credit card, they don't sue on that, but they do sue on the $4,700 one. The reason I see that is because, and I've had creditors' attorneys tell me this, look, we sue somebody for 50 grand. They often just file bankruptcy on it. Most people don't file bankruptcy over $4,700. So that's kind of why you see that. So, all right, I think we're going to make this a short one tonight, but I appreciate everybody checking in. Check out those links. If you have any additional questions, put them in the comments below, and we will address them as they come. Thanks for coming.